Hey everyone,
Welcome to Seeking Focus.
thanks for tuning in again. This week we are checking out Evan's studio in a beautiful part of Melbourne.
Welcome to Seeking Focus, a podcast that provides photographers and videographers with a place to critically compare technology, share ideas, and enhance their skills.
Hey Evan, how you going?
I've been good. Spent a large proportion of this week recovering from a bit of a cold. And during that period, I actually spent a lot of time getting back to clients via email who have, I'm ashamed to say this, but people have been contacting me for weeks on end, and I just haven't had a chance to get back to them. So I've spent the majority of the week catching up on emails, and even still now, I'm still chasing up a few clients. Very, very slack.
I usually I reply to all my emails about 12 o'clock at night. So I feel your pain, man.
But the thing, it's one of those most important parts of running a business that you actually get back in contact with your clients. And I've just been so run off my feet doing other things that I just haven't had a chance to, which is really bad. So if you're out there with a business and you're starting off, make sure you respond to those emails. Don't be like us, or be like me anyway. How about yourself, Marty? What have you been up to?
Look, just actually quite busy. Picked up, the usual, one or two customers, and they just come and I try not to do too many weddings or christenings or anything like that, but they keep on coming. So I don't know. Sometimes the time to get stuffed, and sometimes I take on the job. I mean, sometimes it's worth it. You know what I mean?
I've got to say, telling your clients to get stuffed, I've got to try that one day.
Yeah. Well, it depends how desperate you are for cash anyway. But look, I'm a bit of a camera gear head, as you probably know, and I do like my Sonys, as you know.
Yes, everything's so. I'm amazed your drones aren't Sony.
Yeah, actually, I should look into that. Hey,
I'm sure they've got something.
But look, I wanted to sort of say something, and Sony recently just released the new vlogging camera, and the vlogging cameras are quite popular these days, and a lot of people use them for YouTube and I guess just sort of Instagram these days as well. But this new vlogging camera, it's a Sony ZV-E10. So it's actually really small thing, and what I did find interesting about it, it comes with a little tripod. You can actually stop recording from it, and
From a tripod.
Yeah. So it's actually really, really funky.
It's got like little switches on the side.
Yeah, so it's got a little record button and focusing and other bits and pieces. So you can actually virtually control the whole camera from a little tripod that you just hold in your hand, and it's got a built-in microphone, which is quite impressive. You can put a dead cat on it. So if people don't know what's a dead cat, it's a wind stopper.
It's a wind stopper, yeah.
So and microphones.
There's different types. There's dead cats, there's dead kittens, depending on the size of them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Yeah, there you go. The bloody cats, eh?
No, but the you can get really, really small ones, and they're called dead kittens, which is kind of horrific. But it's because they look like a cat that's not moving.
Yeah. No, well, this camera, I just found that interesting. This, when I sort of was going through things, and I just saw it, and I was just like, hey, you know what? This is actually quite interesting. I mean, it's still got 4K. It's got inputs for microphones, external microphones. It's got inputs for headphones. So it's actually really impressive, and it's only just over $1,000 Australian dollars.
Only, but wow, wait, we know you want more.
Considering that,
Actually, one of the things that because I was looking at some cameras, blogging cameras for a client of mine just recently, and one of the things I did notice with the Sonys, which I have to say I was actually not impressed with, compared to the Canons, and I know you think I'm a Canon boy, which
fanboy.
I'm not. It's just because I've got a Canon. It doesn't mean that I'm a fanboy. But the lenses on a lot of these blogging cameras from Sony are actually not removable. They're part of the camera.
Yeah, they are, some of them. Yeah, depends what quality camera you get. I mean, this ZVE10, you can actually put a separate. No, you can interchange lenses on it, so which is really good. But
so
some of them, with this one you can.
Okay, cool. So they've improved that.
That's why I'm kind of find it really interesting that they're using all this new gear and everything else, and it's helping all the YouTubers. So if you do have a YouTube channel, this is definitely worthwhile looking into. And it's like a full face focus, full eye focus, 4K, and just the image straight out of the camera is actually quite impressive as well. So yeah, that was my sort of week. Just sort of looking at different gear, and not that I'm going to buy a new camera. If my wife is listening, I'm not buying another camera. Okay, I did buy a GoPro though. So
another one.
Yeah.
What number was this one?
This is number 4.
So it's actually a GoPro 4, or it's number 4 in your collection?
Number 4 in my collection.
Is it a GoPro? Which one is it? A GoPro 7? I'm guessing.
No, it's actually GoPro 6.
6?
Yeah. So I've got a GoPro 4. I've got a GoPro 6. I've got a GoPro 8, and I've got a GoPro 9.
You're trying to do a whole collection of them, eh?
Well, it's for the droning. So the GoPro 8 that I've got, it's a naked GoPro, so it's all stripped out.
Yep. One of the earlier episodes, we spoke about that for your drone.
Yeah, it's only weighing 28 grams. And this new 6 that I got is actually, I'm planning to sort of take it apart and make it a GoPro, naked GoPro, which is at the moment it weighs 100 and just over 100 grams. And I'm going to try to remove that, all the gear and everything else. I'm going to try to stick it onto my long-range drone, and hopefully it will, make it work. So, but
I have a question.
Yeah,
Sorry, and completely unrelated to your blogging cameras. I do apologize. You've got me sort of questioning now. I've noticed you don't use the GoPro Session, which is the really, really small cube GoPro. Why is that?
I never had a chance actually to jump into it, to be honest with you, but I was actually looking at it because they actually weigh under 100 grams. Mm-hmm. When you pop the battery out of them, they only weigh about 70 odd grams.
Because for people who don't know what they look like, they're actually half the size of a GoPro.
Yeah, it's like a little cube.
Yeah.
So literally, like if you, I don't know, probably 50 cent piece cube, that's pretty much a size of a GoPro Session. I was actually looking at it, but they're actually quite still expensive.
They are, and they're actually like the equivalent of a GoPro 5. So,
5 and 6. Well, I just picked up a GoPro 6 for under $200.
That's pretty good.
So it's a reasonable price, and then the GoPro Sessions and the GoPro 5 Sessions, they still sitting on sort of $200-300 mark Australian. So yeah, look, I was thinking about it, but yeah, I got to find a good one.
Well, you can borrow mine, but you're not taking the case off.
I'll probably smash it with my drone. So there you go. No, that's right. Hey, all right. So this week we're hoping to have a chat more about the audio stuff. So lapel microphones, different brands, what's out there, what we have used, and what do we recommend? What do we recommend?
All right. Well, so basically, the reason I brought this up is because a lot of people talk about audio gear, and there's a lot of it which is just flooding the market. Now, originally,
it's getting affordable as well. Can I?
It is very affordable.
So you can get some really good gear for a couple of $100, literally.
Yeah, and even the old gear is actually now being palmed off secondhand, extremely cheap. So you can actually go out there and afford almost anything. But back in the day, when you did video recordings and you were using a lapel microphone, you'd have the lapel microphone mounted to the person's shirt, and you'd have like an 8 to 10 meter long cable that ran back to the camera, which became a bit messy, but it worked. And as time progressed and people,
been there, done that, mate.
Yeah. The wireless systems came out, and the market's been flooded with so many different types. You got Saramonic, you got Boya. You ever heard of the brand Boya?
No, it sounds like Hoya, but no, I haven't. I mean, look, I probably have. It's just the thing is with me is if I'm gonna go for gear, I'm gonna go for reasonably good gear. And I do look. I like to support locals, so the Australian roads. I'm a big fan of Rode, and I do like to sort of support the locals. So is it Boya? Did you say
Boya? Yeah,
Boya. Yeah, I'm guessing it's like some Chinese sort of El Cheapo kind of brand.
Most things come out of China nowadays, but it is really, really bad Boya. I'm probably going to get sued for saying this, but most of the time it doesn't actually work when you pull it out of the packet. That's how bad it is. And the audio cuts in and out. It's this disturbing.
And the funny thing is, I mean, the audio is so important to a video these days. Like if you're making a video, someone talking, and like some of the videos that you probably saw online with people talking to their phones and whatever else, which is fine. But the microphone on the phone is obviously quite far away. The person's talking, so the whole sound sounds very distorted. It sounds far, far away. And to me, as much as I like to sort of, I hate to admit it, but audio is almost like more than 50% of the actual video itself.
It is definitely, yeah.
So if you got a really bad audio, people don't want to hear it. Don't want to listen to it.
Well, fundamentally, I think, as I heard someone say once that if you've got a bad quality video, picture-wise, people will still watch it because they still want to see what's happening. But if you've got a bad video with horrible audio,
it's
even if the picture's actually half decent, people will not listen to it. They'll switch it off.
there you
And it is very true. For me personally, audio is the most important thing you can do in video. And people overlook it because they don't think anything of it. They just think, I've got a camera, it's got a microphone built in, that's sufficient.
Yep.
Not really, no.
No, it's shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crap.
Yeah.
Look, to be honest with you, I never really used a on-camera microphone. To me, it's pathetic. And I mean, worst case scenario.
Sorry, clarify. When you say on camera, are you referring to the microphone built into the camera?
Actually, both.
Or
to be honest with you,
you've never used.
No,
You don't know what you're missing out on.
No, I hate it. Look, I only time for my YouTube channel that I've basically vlogging type. I've used a Rode that's on camera big. I don't know. I can't remember the actual specific name for it, but that's the only time that I've used the Rode on top of the camera itself.
It's a directional microphone.
Directional mic, which it's fine, but you got to be still pretty close to the camera itself.
It depends on the microphone. Look, I'll be honest, I actually use microphones on cameras quite often, but it's usually because I'm trying to get an all-round ambient sound. So, like, for example, you're at a football game.
Which is fine for that,
and that's the whole purpose of it. And you can get high-quality microphones for that.
Not when someone's talking though, right? Or would you still use it for that? I mean, they've got to be pretty close to the actual video itself. I mean, the video camera itself, right?
You can use directional microphones, which will basically grab the person's voice from far away and sort of block out everything around. But yeah, look, I mean, ultimately, you should have a microphone very close to the person or directly on top of them. That's the way to get the best sound.
Okay.
But anyway, so we're transgressing here. So
we are. So keep going back to the Matt brand. So what do we have? So we had Boya.
So we've got Boya.
Boya.
Yeah, Boya. Stay away from Boya. I mean, unless you're really super desperate.
So what was the first one that you mentioned?
Saramonic.
Saramonic. Are they good? Never heard it.
Look, I've used their stuff in past. It's actually been given to me. I've used it. They were the ones who came up with the first design for one receiver, two transmitters, which is actually becoming a lot more popular nowadays.
Oh, okay.
I had problems with it, and some people said that they had issues with it. They worked, and they're still around. They're actually a reasonable product, and they were at the forefront.
Okay.
But I mean, would I jump out at them and grab their stuff as a first choice?
Price-wise, though, they're pretty cheap, or
no, they're not cheap.
Oh, okay.
They're not cheap. They're not at the top of the pack, but they're definitely not cheap either.
Okay.
Look, they're not bad. I wouldn't go to them as a first choice.
Yeah. Okay. So was it Saramonic? Did you say?
Saramonic, yeah.
And then Boya, you said?
Boya, stay away from. Yeah.
What's the next one?
Godox.
Godox. Never heard of them.
You know the ones who do the lighting.
Oh, Godox.
My pronunciation.
Really? They release microphones?
They do microphones.
Holy cracks.
I know.
Wow, never heard of them with the microphone. I mean, they're pretty good for lighting, but never heard of them for actual microphones itself.
They do that as well. This one you're going to love because you're a Sony fanboy. Sony produces very, very good wireless microphones.
They do.
Yeah. Then you've also got the Sennheisers, who are top of the range. You've got the G2s, the G3s, the G4s. G2s had a few issues. G3s had a few issues as well. G4s are meant to be the gun. They're not cheap though. I think they're over $1,000 each.
Yeah, well, Sennheiser is pretty expensive, and I mean, look, it's probably the best quality as well. We're using at the moment Sennheiser microphones.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
What are we using at the moment?
To be honest with you, I can't remember.
Isn't it M600 something?
660 or 6. I can't. I've got so many microphones.
I have to probably look at that up and pop it onto the notes. But
yeah.
I mean, they're pretty good microphones, and
they're sensational. They're sensational. They would compete against the Rhodes, NTGs 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, I personally think these are a better sounding microphone, but they're also like a $600 to $700 microphone compared to a Rode, which will range from about $250 to about $500-600. So the Sennheisers, the G2s, G3s, they weren't bad. They had
so these are wireless, sorry?
They are wireless transmitter.
Okay.
They're video specific. The G4s are the new ones that have come out. They're top of the range. Like I said, they're over $1,000 from the last time I looked at them. I don't personally own any because I've never had a need for that type of quality in a wireless microphone. But they are top of the range. Now, the good thing about them is they've got a massive range on them. So they they just smear
A
crap
couple
all
of
over it.
100 meters at least.
A couple of hundred, we're looking at possibly closer to a kilometre.
No, sure. Okay.
You know, so
What do you need that for, man? Like,
I don't know if you've got someone at the top of the Rialto, and it's probably not a full kilometre, but it's close to. You know, when you've got the other ones, you're probably looking at the Boyer's probably like 2.5 meters. I'm guessing. Sorry, I shouldn't be bad mouthing Boyer that bad, but
wow. Yeah, if you used them before and obviously you're not happy with them.
I had like 3 or 4 of them. They were given to me, and I literally just gave them away. That's how much I didn't like them. You know, so
we also got Rode as well, which is obviously the market leader. Well, one of the market leaders as well, right?
Look, don't get me wrong. I love Rode. Rode is fantastic. They're a good quality microphone. They do good quality production. They're not top of the range.
Yep.
But the price difference is huge compared to the top of the range. So what you're getting is value for money. Rode's always produced high quality gear, and they've got a variety of different things as well. So it's not like, you know, we've only got 1 or 2 microphones. They've got so many different microphones. It's unbelievable.
I've got most of the Rode gear, and look, I'm pretty happy with it. And I've got the NTG4 Plus. I've got the the on-camera mic and directional mic, and I've got Rode Go 1, I've got Rode Go 2, I've got a Rode Filmmaker. So all my gear is literally on my microphones. It will be a Rode. I mean, look, I do firmly believe to support locals as well. So it's an Australian made product as such. I mean, you know, who knows where they actually get the gear, I mean, the parts and whatever else. But we're not sponsored by Rode. We're not, you know, we're not, sorry.
I've done a bit of work for them in past. Probably about 15 years ago, they actually sponsored a sports team that a videography sports team.
And they actually do support locals as well, don't they?
They do. And you'll notice in then a lot of the big productions across the world, you'll see Rode everywhere. And that's because they're a quality product and at a reasonable price. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not ridiculously expensive.
Well, yeah, look, you know, they're not cheap, they're not extremely expensive. I think from memory, I bought my NTG4 boom mic, which I think, look, I've used it for most of my production, and it's an amazing product, you know what I mean? And I think I spent about $400 on it.
Yeah, and
for what it is, it's really good.
It is, and I think the difference between the Sennheiser that we're using at the moment and the Rode for the one that you've got is the Rode is slightly deeper and bassier, so they've got a better mid-range and low. The Sennheiser has a very, very good mid to high, so there's more fidelity in the Sennheiser than there is in the Rode, and that's what I found. It's minimal, so you know most people would listen to it.
I've actually got a mate that's being Polish. I've got a couple of mates in Poland, and they actually use Rode as well, and they're quite happy when they swear by it. And this guy is actually a voiceover artist. And when he heard our podcasts, he goes, "What are you using? What are you using? Rode?" And I said, "No, we're using Sennheiser." And then he goes, "Oh, mate, it sounds like a Rode." You know what I mean? And I said, "Well, you know, it is a good quality mic as well." So yeah, definitely, you know, I mean, obviously the professionals use it, and us being professional, we all use it as well.
But yeah, so look, Rode is probably one of my go-to brands. Sennheiser is another one. But like I said, Sennheiser is more expensive.
Yep.
And you know, you sort of got to balance it up. Do I need that particular model, which provides this additional feature? I mean, with the wireless microphones, Rode products are really good. They're getting better by the day. Sennheiser has the upper hand in the sense of fidelity, distance, and also security. So encryption of the signal. So one of the benefits of the Sennheiser system is that you could be next to another person who's using another Sennheiser, and the chances of you and that other person transmitting on the same signal or crossing signals in any way is so minuscule that you wouldn't even consider it because it's got its own frequency. Rode piggybacks on a frequency, I think it's 2.4 gigahertz, which is very common with a lot of electronic products on the market. And with the Filmmaker series, for example, they've only got like I think it's 8 channels. So if there's another person in the room, you've got 1 in 8 chance that they'll be using the same channel as you.
That's right. The Rode Filmmaker has a manual sort of switches at the back or inside that you flick to specific channel.
You can tell it to match up to the transmitter and receiver, so they partner up. But then you can tell it, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. And look, for the most part, I mean, unless you're in a very populated area of 4,000 bloggers around you and stuff, it's not going to happen. It's never happened to me. I use Rode for all my wireless gear, and I've never had a problem.
Yeah.
But professional, if you're doing this full time and big
Hardcore.
Budget, hardcore, and you're obsessed with the latest and greatest.
Probably the way to go. Though.
Yeah, you don't want to take any chances. Sennheiser's the way to go. You want to have your person up at the top of the Rialto climbing down the wall, and you're at the bottom filming up. Sennheiser's the way to go.
Rialto is one of the highest buildings in Melbourne, by the way. But anyway.
So it's quite large. So anyway, back to the subject. There's other brands, Samsung, which you've probably never heard of it.
Not Samsung.
Samsung. And a couple of other brands that everyone knows, Roland and Tascam. Tascam's always been...
Tascam's one. Well, Zoom's got it as well, right? So Zoom actually have the recorders that we use, and they do obviously make microphones for those recorders as well.
But are they wireless? I've never actually come across a Zoom wireless microphone.
Yeah, you're right.
They do all the series of recorders, like the H series. I think there's a H2 or a H1 or something.
There's H1 to, I don't know about 3.
There's one which is like a triangle.
You've got a H6.
Yep.
Yeah, there is. I mean, look, the quality is really good. And I use my Zoom recorder for my YouTube channel. So if you listen to my YouTube videos and watch my YouTube videos, at the end I give a bit of a summary on where to go, what to do, like just talk about maps and whatever else, and I use Zoom for that. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. It's a good quality. I mean, the Zoom stuff it's expensive as well. It's not cheap, but yeah, not for wireless. No.
I mean, you could put a microphone to it, strap it to someone's back, and have them talking, and then use the audio and overlay it.
Yeah.
You can do.
Well,
that.
you can in a way plug in a wired lapel mic.
Well,
and then have that in your pocket or something like that, so that could potentially still work.
So a lot of people using the Blackmagic aren't happy with the audio that's built into the Blackmagic. The audio system in the Blackmagic is questionable. So what they do is they run a H6 on the side of a Blackmagic to record all the audio. And
I've done that before.
Yeah, and then they run the cable from the auxiliary out into the Blackmagic so that they can actually sync up the audio at a later date when they're doing post-production.
Yeah.
And, the Zoom has a better audio recorder, better amplifier in it. And
we can control each channel individually as well.
Yeah, so you can run up to 6 channels on the H6, as the title says. So that's really interesting sort of stuff. And you're only limited with your creativity. I mean, you can...
Well, yeah, that's true, isn't it? Because I found, I mean, it doesn't really matter what product you use, as long as it's the reasonable kind of product. I mean, if you got reasonable, microphones and sort of, you put them in the correct way, and you'll get the reasonable audio out of it. You know what I mean? And I mean, you can't go wrong with the Hollyland stuff. You can't go wrong with with Rhodes or my Sennheisers or whatever else. But it's really up to your budget. And personally, I reckon if you spend a little bit more, you're not going to suffer the problems later on down the line as well.
So, but the thing in saying that, right? For me personally, audio is a big thing.
Same here, man.
My background, audio engineering. So for me, audio is super important. I have to say, I've dealt with clients in past that you could have put a Boya recorder in front of them and they wouldn't have known the difference. And they, even though it sounded tremendously crap, they would never have noticed.
Yeah, most of the clients do though, because they don't really care, or they, as long as there's something buzzing in the background and they hear something, I don't think they're gonna say, "Oh no, that doesn't sound deep enough," or "That doesn't have enough," decibels or whatever else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, in most cases, I mean, I personally try and do the best that I can, because I'm trying to get a better client. But that's not to say that you can't use cheaper quality stuff and get away with it. By all means, you can. For a very long time, when I started off, I was using the inbuilt the electronic system in the Canon cameras, which is astoundingly bad. The amplifier in it is really horrific. But I was using that with a microphone plugged straight into it, and it worked. And no one complained, But for me personally, I try and do the best that I can.
I think more time you spend with this sort of stuff, you will see the differences. And you will, like if you starting off, you might buy that Boya or whatever else. However, when you sort of start progressing and the audio starts, obviously deteriorating, and your video starts getting better, then you're gonna go, oh, what's going on here? You know what I mean? I've got to buy that better Rode or Sennheiser microphone to be able to get better quality audio.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and that's even with everything that I do, it's always trying to do better.
Yeah.
That's why I go with a Blackmagic camera, which is fully manual, as opposed to using a DSLR, because the quality of a Blackmagic camera compared to a DSLR is way better. Sorry, Marty, I know you've got the Sony and you're you're a DSLR user, but they visually
mirrorless.
But they're sorry, my apologies. After the last few episodes, I should be getting that right.
Yeah.
But the Sony is probably one of the very few cameras out there which is like a mirrorless camera, which produces really, really good quality footage, but it's still very different to a Blackmagic.
Oh, by all means.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen people who have tried to match it. They've had a Sony as a B camera to a Blackmagic, and
you can tell the difference if you know what you're looking for.
You can pick it from a mile away.
Yeah, we both went out into the Melbourne city and filmed a few things, and you could tell exactly which one. Well, I could tell exactly side by side which was a Blackmagic, which one is a Sony.
But if
footage.
you put them together in front of a client, they probably would.
Oh no, they would.
Notice.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But we've got the eye for it. Now, one additional production company that's come onto the market just recently, and you mentioned the name Hollyland. They are not known for their audio production stuff, but they've come on board and they've released a product called the Lark 150, which is a wireless audio transmitter. I've recently obtained one. It was sent to me by the company. And we'll be talking about that later on, in addition to Rode, because they're the two main microphones that I use, and Sennheiser too. But it's a really interesting product.
I must say I'm pretty impressed with it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the audio from it yet, but from looking at the actual gear and the components, it's actually, I don't mind it at all. Don't mind it.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it further. But yeah, like I said, it's a new contender in the market. I had never really heard of Hollyland until you introduced me to it. You've got one of their private products.
Yeah, I use it for my wireless video streaming. So when I at a client's site, I can give them give my client a monitor, and that monitor will show exactly what the camera sees. So it's basically a wireless system for video. So you'd be able to basically stream video over wireless. So they're obviously quite well known for the wireless systems, but only recently Hollyland have released that wireless lapel microphones, right?
Yeah.
How long ago they've been around for?
You mean the actual lapel microphones or the company itself?
No, well, the company that released those lapel, what are they called again?
That's the Lark 150.
The Lark.
They're actually quite new on the market. I think they've only been sort of probably about 2, maybe 3 months that they've actually had them on the market. They're really pushing them at the moment on social media.
Yeah, I saw that.
You can't turn your head left without seeing an advertisement for them at the moment.
Well, especially if you're looking for a lapel microphone, that's for sure.
Yeah, and look, they're definitely they're very, very good. We'll talk about some of the benefits of it compared to Rode systems and some of the letdowns, because they are very different, even though they're both lapel microphones, wireless systems.
I've got one right in my hand. I must say, the build quality feels really good on it, and the good thing about it is everything is all in one, so if you want to charge it, you just pop it into this little cradle and voila, it just charges automatically from the internal battery of the case. And the case looks pretty impressive. The units on loan, they're quite small as well. They're much smaller than the Rode stuff. So yeah, look, they are pretty impressive, so I must say.
They've got some unique features to them. But what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the ones that we've experienced personally, and predominantly we're going to speak about Rode, and then also compare it to the Hollyland, which is probably the biggest contender at the moment when it comes into the wireless systems. Now, one of the first wireless systems that was affordable and got a lot of attention was the Filmmaker kit by Rode. It's called Rode Link. Yep. I think everyone had one. They're pretty big units.
They are big, and they were not cheap as well. They were about $500 Australian back then.
The interesting thing about it is they haven't gone down in price.
Yeah, they're right. Yeah,
they're still at $500. They're still one of the most expensive wireless systems, obviously not compared to Sennheiser, but they are still up there. And even though they've released the Go system, they still haven't come down in price. It's actually interesting. So I'm still trying to figure out why. I mean, it's a bigger unit.
Yep.
It's not as capable, but it seems to still have a lot of people supporting it.
Yeah, it's true. It's chunky, and look, it does work, and it does work quite well.
Yes.
I never had a problem with it, and
it's solid. You could use it as a hammer.
Definitely.
So basically, it almost looks like the same size as a beeper system that the old days, the 80s, when people had beepers on their back pockets.
Yeah, it's quite large.
Yeah, and my ones have copped a beating. Like the client pulls the cable off without realizing that they've got it connected. It flies across the room, hits the wall, lands on the ground.
The good thing about them and most of the professional stuff is the microphone itself, as in the lapel mic, actually screws into the unit itself.
Yeah, so it won't fall out.
And the cables, from what I know, they're actually like titanium something.
Dog-proof, yeah.
Yeah, they're like...
In saying that, though...
I struggle somewhat with it.
Yeah, well, pretty much. Sennheiser headphones, the cables are meant to be dog-proof. But in saying that, I've actually had a number of them fail. So, and I'm not a dog. I haven't been chewing on them either. Yeah. So, I don't know how much I believe that. Anyway, so back to the Filmmaker kit. Good product, reliable, solid. It's still holding its value. The specs for it, it'll do 100 meters in range for transmission. Now, when we say 100 meters, line of sight, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you're doing a line of sight, which means you can actually see the other person, you can get up to 100 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's electrical interference, a lot of like a neon sign, for example, or transmitters or something like that around you, it will
phone towers.
Yeah, phone towers.
Mm-hmm.
It'll impact the ability for that system to work. It will go through walls, but obviously a wall will actually reduce the quality of it.
Yep.
I was once doing a recording for a gym, and the person who was presenting left the room. We're having a breakout sort of thing, and they went to the bathroom. They walked onto the other side of the building.
Yeah, and you could still hear him.
I could still hear him having a fun time in the toilet.
Same. Yeah.
So and this was, the distance was actually quite far. I wouldn't have said it was 100 meters, but it was still quite far.
Yeah, but going through walls and everything else, that it's actually quite big plus, isn't it?
It is. But in saying that, I was recently using the same ones in a venue here in Melbourne on Chapel Street, Revolver Lane, I think it's called. And they have a lot of electrical cabling through the walls, neon signs, lights everywhere. And I basically had that system connected up, and I had a presenter in a room. I walked into the next room and started walking up the stairs. I was literally probably, say, 10 meters away, and it started cutting out.
Yeah, right.
So, the line of sight is important, and, all the other objects around the place obviously make a huge difference. But if you're on a football field, technically, right, and if you're facing each other, you can get 100 meters. If you turn around and the microphone's, being blocked by your body, that'll actually impact the distance as well. And that'll drop it down by about 20 to 30%, believe it or not. So range 100 meters, 3 levels of volume control, so you can actually adjust the volume on it. So they've actually got 3 levels on the actual transmitter and on the receiver. So you can reduce dBs or increase dBs.
Yep.
It's actually underneath the battery cover. It's always been quite reliable. I actually own 6 of these units. Long story. And each one of them works perfectly, and they've copped crap like there's no tomorrow, and they still keep going.
It's a workhorse, isn't it?
It is. It's like the Canon 5D Mark III. It's
a workhorse.
It's a workhorse. It just keeps working, and it holds its value.
Yeah, it does.
That's my thing. One button pairing. Now the pairing, once you set the transmitter and the receiver up using the one button pairing, it's good. You don't really mess around with it again. Unfortunately, it's only got 8 channels. So I'm using 6 transmitters at once. It's not a problem because there's 6 channels. But if someone in the vicinity is using another one and I'm using 6 separate channels, there's a very good chance that we're going to overlap our signals. Never happens yet, but it is there. It's a possibility. It uses AA batteries. Industry standard. Something goes wrong, bang, you throw some new ones in. You can get them from the local 7-Eleven store. Right. So you always have batteries on hand, so it's really good. It's got a mute lock.
Okay.
So the mute lock on it basically means that you can press the mute button, and no matter what happens, they can lean against the microphone, they can press the on-off button. It doesn't switch the audio off.
Yeah, right.
Which is really good if you're doing a live performance or something, and there's a panel and there's like a whole bunch of people talking, and accidentally one of them leans on it, switches the thing off, and you're going to try and figure out how to switch it back on.
Okay.
It doesn't work. And as you mentioned before, the actual lapel microphones, they all lock on. So basically, the only way
screw into it.
It's a screw-on system. The only way you're going to manage to take that out is if you destroy the lapel microphone wire. You just tear it off or something, which is actually still quite difficult to do.
Yeah, they are quite tough wires on there.
Yeah, and Rode has a selection of different type of lapel microphones you can buy, ranging from about $50 to $60 right through to about $300.
Yeah.
So they've got the little ones which actually allow you to change the plug, change the cable, change the microphone. Amazing setups and then really high fidelity, but they're like the $200 microphones.
Yeah.
So basically, and they come with a kit with a dead cat on them as well, which is part of the thing.
Yeah.
So that whole kit, you get a receiver, transmitter, the lapel microphone, and a dead cat, and a couple of chest clips as well, so you can put the microphone to your chest. $500 brand new. Good quality.
And they've been around for a long time too.
They have, and they're still selling. I was looking at them today, $500.
Sure.
A lot of people are selling them secondhand really cheap at the moment because everyone's moving over to the Go system. Yeah. Personally, if you're going to the Go one, I would still stick with the Filmmaker kit, the Link.
Yeah.
You know, it's a much better unit. The Go one that was released by Rode, which I'm going to get you to talk about that because that's one of the ones you've had.
Stepping back a little bit though,
Yep.
Do you know any negatives towards the sort of Filmmaker car, Mike? Did you find any negatives having 6 of them?
No. Look, technically, you're not meant to use more than 4, but I've never had a problem with 6.
Yeah.
The lack of channels can potentially be a downfall.
Like hardware-wise, I'm talking about.
Hardware, no, those things are just.
I'll tell you because I had some issues with it.
What was yours?
So I bought mine brand new. Probably about 5-6 years ago, if not more. And I found that the male-to-male cable, it broke on me.
So you're talking about the cable that goes from the receiver to the camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so that's
male
just
to male.
so it's a TRS cable, 3.5 mil.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So I basically had my microphone a couple of years, and then all of a sudden I was in the middle of the shoot.
That's the little coil
Yeah,
one
it
that you
is.
get.
Yeah. And it just started. I plugged it in properly. I've used it properly. Everything worked fine. And all of a sudden, it started getting static.
Yep. And look, that's happened to me. I've actually gone through about 3 of them myself.
All right.
But in the defense of those particular units, I'm not sure how you do it, but I stretch mine across the camera from one side to the other.
No.
You baby yours.
I do because my son is a little baby. That's why. No, but look, the only reason, for some reason, is that cable is just started cracking and you're doing all sorts of different things.
The connections go on them,
Saying that though, I've sent an email to Rode and say, hey guys, I bought this Filmmaker, this, that, this cable seems to be playing up. Literally a couple of days later, I had 2 brand new cables for free, no questions asked, no problems whatsoever. And so from that perspective, I seriously think, it's a definitely a worthwhile, when you're buying a top quality product, you're also buying the support. You know what I mean? And I probably shouldn't say this, but my wife owns a Mercedes-Benz, and I totally hate that car because I just don't get any support from them whatsoever. And you know what? I hope Mercedes-Benz listen to this, but every single time I had a problem with that car, I took it to the dealership, and they go, "Yep, yeah, we'll fix it, no worries." And then a week later, the same thing happens again. So they haven't fixed nothing. You know what I mean? So Rode came into my rescue, and they gave me 2 brand new cables, not just one.
And
so it's brilliant.
That's a good thing about Rode.
Yep.
First of all, they're Australian, so for people overseas, it's probably not as good as what it is here. But they've actually got outlets everywhere all over the world. Here in Australia, if you need help, you ring Rode, and they've got a hotline. They will respond to you straight away.
They're based in Sydney as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in Sydney. You write them an email, you'll have a response the same day.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. Now they sponsored me many moons ago. I'm not affiliated to them anymore, but their products were good, and they still remain to be good. So it still remain to be good. That sounds right.
Well, they're pretty old now because when you were doing productions for the 4-wheel drive stuff, you did that probably a good
20 years ago.
And they gave you obviously some parts that were
they sponsored.
You still got it, right?
All the microphones that I had from them. They're all working still, and I mean, we gave them a hard time. I fell off a cliff, completely destroyed a mount on a microphone. The microphone kept working. The alloy mount on it completely snapped in half. That's how bad I hit it. And this microphone looked like it had been hit by a car. And I rang them up, and they said, not a problem. Bang, they sent me a new mount out. Recently, I was closing one of my carry cases. I've got the big Pelican cases, and the edges can be quite sharp on a Pelican case. And my headphones, sorry, not my headphones. The microphone cable was sticking out of the case, and I didn't see it. Closed the lid, and it's like a guillotine. I actually cut the damn cable, and I was like, oh damn, like I'll try and resolder it on the inside. So I opened the whole thing up, and the wiring isn't designed to be resoldered again. It's got plastic fibers in there. You try and it just doesn't work. So I rang them up and I said, look, I just need a new cable. I'll connect it up myself and all that. They said, no, send it back. We'll connect it up for you. So I sent them back the microphone. And mind you, the microphone was about 6 years old. Oh, wow. Right, so way over the warranty. And they basically, I think it was about a week later, I got the parcel back. I opened it up and there's my microphone. But it was in a sealed package container. And I'm thinking, hang on a sec, I didn't send them a package with the container on the outside. And then I realized they've actually sent me a brand new replacement microphone. Oh, wow. They didn't know who I was. They didn't remember that I worked for them.
You didn't work for them, but
sponsored by them. Sorry, I should say that's sponsored. They had no idea who I was. I was just basically hoping I was going to pay for it. Yeah. And they sent me a whole brand new microphone, which it was amazing. I was so impressed with that. Yeah. It's.
Oh, look, support is top range. I think from both of us making videos and doing audio and whatever else, I think Rode really helped us out in a lot of ways. Not just, we bought their products, but we had problems with their products. They came to the party and they helped us, and they just, they got us back on the road as much as.
And one of the things we're going to be talking about a bit of the software for the Go Series 2. I actually got.
Let's talk about that actually.
No. I want to talk about the Go 1 first. but we got in contact with them, and they sent us multiple emails back. They were responsive. Within hours, we would have a response back. Okay. I have to say I've dealt with a lot of companies, and I've never seen a response rate like that. So kudos to them. Yeah. It sounds like we're almost being paid to do this.
We're not. That's the thing. And I support the people that support me. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And I'm a big fan of it. You know what I mean? And like I said, my wife owns a Mercedes-Benz, and they don't support Jack as far as I'm concerned. I'm just really upset with them. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to go back and buy another Mercedes-Benz. But my wife probably will, but I won't. You know what I mean? So, but look, they do support and they do help. And I do obviously believe, if the company supports you, you should support them back. That's my firm belief.
Completely. All right. So on the subject of Rode, which we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes or so. So after the Filmmaker kit, they released the Go 1, which for me personally was a letdown. I did not even bother going there because I found it as a weak replacement for something that was built like a tank, and then there was this other thing that I considered personally a toy. Yeah. I didn't buy it, but you went off and bought it because your needs are completely different to mine.
Well, yeah, I did. And I must say, I do enjoy it. I love it, and it does for whatever I need it to be done. I never really tested it more than 100 meters, to be honest with you. And I've sort of picked it up just for more for my YouTube style videos and just for vlogs and whatever else, saying that, every time you turn it on, it works. Every time you try to do something, it works. So I've had it connected to, when I was filming a moving, how can I say? So once I was on my client's site, it was a caravan place, and we had two people talking, and they all kept on moving around the whole caravan all around it. So I was following them with the camera. So I both had my Rode Go 1 and my Filmmaker, and both of them did amazing job. You know what I mean? None of them cut out. None of them had any problems. So what I do like about the Rode Go is the size and compact component of it. So you can literally, it's the size of a 20-cent piece, or just probably a little bit more than 20% piece. Yeah. But you know what? Like if you're not going 100 meters away, it's working fine, and it does the job. It perfectly. I mean, I never had a problem with it. So, and I love it. And I bought Rode Go 2s now, and I'm still going to keep my Rode 1s. Yet I'm thinking of selling my, Filmmaker, because the Filmmaker is quite big and chunky, and but I've used my Filmmaker for a few weddings that I shot in the past, and it was great. It works, but it's Yeah, look, I enjoy it, and I don't have anything bad to say about it. To be
Okay.
honest with you.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple of the rundown specs. Okay, so battery life on it, 7 hours.
Pretty good.
Rechargeable battery.
Mm.
So it's built-in USB charger, I believe. So you charge it with
Road One, yeah.
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 So no, the Road Go.
Yeah,
So
Road Go.
the
So
original.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, so it's USB-C charging, and you can just charge it directly from that. Yep.
Okay. The range is only 70 meters. So the filmmaker
Yeah.
is actually 100. So it's actually a better signal.
30 meters.
Well, you're usually quite close to your clients anyway. Yeah. So for that purpose, it works.
Yep.
But that is line of sight. So put a person in front of you, a couple of walls. Distance is a little
Of course, yeah. No, look, I think I never really tried it, not line of sight, but I've seen a couple of other people do it. And yeah, as soon as you sort of leave and turn your back into it, it straight away deteriorates. The sound is not actually the strong.
Yeah. So look, that was the reason. I wasn't a huge fan of it because it was a lightweight version of the filmmaker, and I thought, well, why would I waste my time?
If you got 6 of them.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to hear the end of that one, am I? Hey, can I have your one if you don't want it? I can make it 7. But yeah, so basically, for me, it was a very lightweight device, and I didn't think very highly of it. 70 meters direct line of sight. It was very flimsy. It was lightweight, and one of the things that I think is true about the Go 1 and the Go 2 is they're counterintuitive. They don't have buttons that you sort of says, this button turns it on, this one turns the volume up, this is stereo, this is mono. You've got to sort of read the manual and, for example, if you want to do the stereo mono thing, you've got to press 2 buttons, but it doesn't really tell you that you've got to press 2 buttons. You're actually opening it up at the moment.
I'm going to open that up.
Yeah, you can hear this Velcro sound.
Yeah. Well, look, it does come in a little pouch, and it's probably not the safest thing, but then again, you kind of.
I actually found, and that's one of the things I actually liked about the Goes was the pouch because it allows you to sort of squish it into places.
Yeah, you can.
It's
yeah.
really it's nimble.
Yeah, so basically, it's got one button that turns the whole unit on, and then you've got 2 buttons for decibels, as in to control the actual input, and another one to control the link to your lapel microphone, the wireless microphone, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, sometimes it's not very intuitive to use. You have to sort of read the instructions and watch a couple of maybe YouTube videos to be able to get a better understanding of what to do, how to do it, and all that sort of stuff. But generally, I don't actually play with that. I just basically turn it on. It syncs up automatically, and was your uncle? It works.
Yeah. So the
I
filmmaker
control the audio through my camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't.
The filmmaker had none of that at all. It was so barbaric. By comparison. And to make matters worse, when the Go 2 was released, because it had more features, the same buttons are used. And it becomes more complicated.
I feel like they hate on the Road 2s, they should have probably put an extra button on or something like that, just to sort of. The other day I was shooting I just actually bought them, so get this. So I went out to the shoot, and it would have been fine because in post-production I could have fixed it, but I didn't know that you have to press both of those buttons simultaneously. Yeah, to be able to get one channel in. You know what I mean? So
that's what I was talking about. It's like you actually have to read the manual to
you'd be able to. Yeah, you have to sort of be able to sort of go through.
It's got a couple of pictures on the side, but even the manual. If you look at the manual, there's no words really. It's just a whole bunch of cartoon pictures.
Yeah, there isn't much. There isn't.
There isn't. So
I think these days most of the people refer back to. I do anyway. Back to YouTube or whatever else.
Yeah, but someone has to still do the research to figure out how to use a damn thing.
Yeah, I know it's true. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, so the Go 1 still on the market and still selling. People are still buying it. Going price at the moment is $299.
So it's a bit cheaper than the Filmmaker.
Yep, it's almost half the price. Almost, yeah.
We're talking about Australian dollars as well.
Yeah. Then, of course, Rode came out with the Go 2. At this stage, I sort of suddenly started seeing the features, thinking, well, hang on a sec, this is actually quite impressive. It's a lot better than the Go 1.
Yep.
And I thought, well, you know what? Yeah, I want it. The one feature that captured me about the Go 2 was that it actually allows you to have 2 transmitters and 1 receiver.
Yep.
So you can plug in one of the receiver into your camera, and you can have 2 people speaking into individual microphones, and it will take that signal and put it into your camera.
Yep.
Most of the other the transmitters don't allow that.
Yeah, that's right.
And there are single microphone units. So the Go 1 was like that. The Filmmaker's like that.
Yeah.
So it was...
So to be able to get 2 people talking on the right channels, what I was doing in the past was basically getting my Zoom H5 recorder and then individually controlling each volume to each microphone. So if the one person was very loud and then the other person was fucking really talking really nice and softly, then you can kind of control that individually through the Zoom, right? But now... Oh, you can't do it.
No, they still haven't changed that. We'll get into that in a second. You're getting excited. You're like, yeah.
But look, with the so with the 2, they obviously had big 2 chunky Filmmaker receivers.
Yep. And then you have to run it into a mixer.
Then you have to run into
and then into your camera.
Yeah,
and
that's
it was getting bigger and bigger.
Crap,
I mean, unless
it
you're
looks cool for the big, for clients,
you need
because
a
you got
wheelbarrow.
more stuff on it. But it's a bit of a chunky thing.
I need a trolley just to get my lapel microphones in. But the Go 2 had all these new features, and it suddenly started looking very, very promising. The 2 microphones going into the 1 input was sensational. So if your camera only had 1 input, now you could actually have 2 separate individual microphones into it. If you've got a Blackmagic, I don't believe Sony's got this feature. Blackmagic has 2 inputs.
No,
Sony
doesn't have that. Just 1 input.
So if you've got two Rode Go's, the 2 series, not the 1, you can actually have 4 microphones going into your 1 camera directly. You don't need a mixer or anything.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's actually...
So you can control in-camera audio?
Well, you can control the audio from 1 set of Go-Tos, and then you can also you can actually control the audio from the second Go-Tos. But, and this is the big problem with...
So hang on. Hold that thought. So hang on. Let me just... I don't own a Blackmagic. Right?
Sorry, and I love torturing you with audio because I know this was the thing.
So it's got 2 3.5...
No.
Okay. What does it have?
So basically what it does is it has an XLR, mini XLR.
Oh, okay.
And
so XLR is the sort of like a 3-point big chunky thing.
Yep. So, well, it's the mini one, so it's a small version
yeah,
of
right.
it. Okay. So it's microscopic and it has better audio.
So it has both of them, 2 XLRs?
No, 1 XLR and the other one's a 3.5.
Okay.
I believe the new Blackmagics potentially have 2 XLRs. I could be wrong about that, but I haven't invested in the new ones at the moment. I have no real need for it. Mine does 6Ks. I'm happy with 6Ks. I'm going to leave it alone. But yeah, so you can actually run 4 microphones into your Blackmagic.
Do you think you'd be able to see the difference between the XLRs and the 3.5?
Supposedly you can actually, visually the jacks look completely different, but audio-wise, people say that the XLR is actually a better sound.
Well, in general, that's why all the boom mics and everything else all have XLR.
Yeah, and basically the XLR microphones have less distortion.
Yeah.
I believe that there's been times where people have actually plugged in a 3.5mm jack into a Zoom recorder, and they've actually picked up distortion and stuff because it's not shielded. It's a long story, but the XLRs are shielded and they're a better quality.
It's a better quality cable and it's better quality, just as in not just a cable in a physical sense, but quality audio cable.
Yeah. And also 3.5, the technology is very old compared to XLR, especially mini XLR. So the technology has moved with the inputs. So there is differences in the actual connection. So technically, if you're trying to get the best sound you can, and you've got XLR, use XLR.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. So yeah. So that was the huge advantage of the Rode Go's, the Rode Go 2, I should say. And the selling price on the Rode Go 2 is $399. Now, I'm just going to quickly go through a few of the benefits of it. Now, the one thing that I actually did not realize when I purchased one was the fact that the actual range has been increased to 200 meters.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
I did not know that. I actually thought it was still the same as the original Goes, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty crap."
But that's still line of sight, though, isn't it?
It is, but I mean,
So if you go behind a building or next room, you start losing.
distortion, fluoro lights, blah blah blah. But nonetheless, it is double of the filmmaker, which I just discovered that recently. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really impressive, especially considering it's probably 1/6 the size.
Yep.
So there's still the same size as the Rode Go ones, but there's now 2 transmitters and 1 receiver.
Yep.
Battery life, once again, 7 hours.
Yep.
And that's sensational.
Yep.
It's got a mute lock button on it. It comes with a dead cat for the actual recorder itself. But
both, yeah.
Yeah. One thing that is actually worth noting, though, the Rode Go 1 and the Rode Go 2, neither of them come with a lapel microphone.
No, that's right.
The microphone is built into the actual receiver, sorry, transmitter, I should say.
Yeah, transmitter. Yeah.
Sorry. So basically, you connect this little box up to your collar, and that's got the microphone built in.
And it's shocking, isn't it? As in from a video production perspective, it's got
it does
two
look
blue fugly lights.
Yeah, and it's got the big black box stuck to it. Look, I mean, it depends. If
you can hide it, in a way, but it's
still see the back of the. I mean, look, it's not the ugliest
I've actually
thing
used a electrical tape on one of them to hide that blue ugly light.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and it was so upsetting because when you're sort of filming someone and you got that stuck in there, the camera that you're filming that person, the person that's watching the video, it's just getting drawn to that blue light.
Or the big black box on their collar,
so it's just really bad. So that's why you have to sort of buy that lapel component. But it's not cheap, isn't it?
I've never actually personally used the lapel microphone on those units. They've got plugs, so you can actually plug a lapel microphone into it and run the unit on your belt, and then basically. So it's almost like the filmmakers, pretty much the way the filmmakers were. I know you've got one.
I got 2 of them actually.
Did you buy them separately?
I did buy them separately. So I bought one initially for my Rode 1, for Rode Go 1, and then I bought an extra one for Rode 2. And I think they're the best thing because they just look professional, and the audio is amazing out of them as well. So I did spend a lot of money on them, I must say, and it's kind of frustrating because they sort of give you this amazing Rode Go 2 product, and then they go, this is it, but then you got to spend $80 on each lapel mic, so there's extra $160 or more to be able to get.
Definitely, but, and this is one thing that's worth noting, if you are going to buy the lapel mics, buy them at the same time as you buy the actual units, the Goes.
It works out a bit cheaper.
It comes out to be, you'd probably save like about $50 to $100 because the prices when you're buying the microphones is a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
If you buy them later on, like a lot of people do, they suddenly start splurging like an extra $50 to $100 for absolutely no reason. But anyway, so they don't come with those microphones, so be it. I think the big benefit, though, and this is one thing that the Rode Go 2 has captured me with, is the fact that the actual transmitters, which are the little microphones that you stick on a person's collar, have the ability to also record audio on those units.
Yeah, it's a big plus, isn't it?
So basically that means that whilst you're actually recording a production, those 2 microphones can be set up to record audio, and they'll record them onto the actual.
So they got a memory card inside them, and then you can actually record onto it.
Yeah, basically, and it's built in, so it's I think 7 hours record time.
It is. So basically, you can record a compressed 7 hours, and I think like up to 43 hours uncompressed, which is MP3.
No, we're around. So compressed is
MP3.
Yep.
And it's like 43 hours, and uncompressed, which is a WAV, W-A-V file,
which is higher quality.
Higher quality, you can edit it more and all that sort of stuff, and that's only about 7 hours.
7 hours.
That's still pretty good though.
It is. So basically, what's the benefit of that to me? Well, okay, so if I've got 2 people speaking, and we're sitting in an area where there's a lot of electrical interference and stuff, there's potential that signal might drop out.
Yeah, right? Within your camera.
Within your camera, so within the receiver. So, you might be listening to something and suddenly the audio cuts out. Right. Now, if you don't pick up on that when you're actually doing the interviews or so on, you're going to go home and suddenly you're going to start putting the video together and you're going to go, oh shit, I've lost my audio, or it's crackling, or it's that sort of thing. Now, if that happens, you've got the backup recording on the actual microphones themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Download it and bang, you've got your audio there.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That is super impressive, and that is a huge selling point for the Goes. I will add that you can actually still record on those even without the without the receiver.
Yeah. So you can just turn them on, and it will just automatically start recording.
Yeah. So as soon as you switch them on, bang, they record. So I've got one strapped to my chest. You've got one strapped to your chest. We're walking down the street, and we're actually having a discussion, and both those microphones are recording. So they're like a little Zoom connected to you.
Yeah.
So you can do a podcast while you're on your bicycle.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to do that one day.
We're hoping that one of the coming episodes when we actually get on our bikes.
Yeah.
So you can do so many things with these. It's a recorder.
Yeah.
It's a
high quality as well.
It is.
It's so impressive for that Rode actually put that together, and it's just that was my big selling point. I mean, that's why I spent the $400, if not actually probably more, because I bought the lapels with them as well. But I've spent over $500 on them, and I think it's worth every dime.
It is
every penny.
But whilst we're sitting here blowing their trumpet, we also have to highlight some of the downfalls. Now, I've actually picked a number of downfalls. If you want to start editing the software within these devices so they do different things, you actually need to do it through a PC or a Mac. You need to plug in the actual devices into your computer and then program them through a particular piece of software.
So you have to download the Rode app on the Mac. You have to download this DNG file, whatever it is.
Rode Central.
That's it. And then you have to be able to update it, and then you can control the features through that app itself. So you can't do it any other way. So you can't actually control it through the actual device itself.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, once you've set them up, basically, you're never going to change them anyway. So, it's a lot of people, you can't make changes unless you got your computer. Well, you know what? Who cares? Once you've made the changes, they're going to last there forever. But you do need to plug them into a computer. Okay. So, one of the things that I actually have a little bit of a negative about with Rode is the firmware for the Go-Tos have been updated, but all their videos online telling you how to use the software hasn't. Yeah. So you're looking at the video and it's telling you press this button, and then you go to your computer and it's completely different layout. Yeah, because they've updated it, but they haven't changed the video. So it's a little bit confusing. On the
actual Rode website, so rode.com.au or .com, whatever it is.
Yeah. So and then the instructions have also not been updated. So they're releasing software or firmware upgrades, but they're not keeping up to date with the actual videos the help. And it causes grief, like, so that was one of the issues I had. Second of all, counterintuitive, now that they've introduced all these new features, you've actually got to press all these buttons in a sequence and do this, and it starts causing issues. Like, for example, one of the options you've got is stereo signal, so basically you can record each one of those microphones on a different channel. So
each channel, and then comes in together.
Yeah, so like microphone number 1 for the first speaker is actually recorded on the left channel.
Yep.
And then the right channel is recorded, the right channel is the second speaker, and you can have those two separate. So when you listen to them, you can actually hear, like if you've got headphones on, you're listening back to the audio, one speaker will be on your left speaker and one will be on your right.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's the mono.
That's the that's the stereo.
So I always get confused about that.
It gets confusing, but it gets even more confusing when you start using it. So that's the setting that you want to use if you want to actually adjust the audio.
Yep.
Because the Go system doesn't allow you to actually adjust the volume controls on the two microphones separately. So, for example, if you've got two speakers and one's damn loud and you've got the other one that sounds like a mouse, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't adjust the volume for the person who's like a mouse and crank up the volume.
So you need to get that file directly from that unit, and then record it in the WAV file to be able to adjust it without sort of losing any quality.
Or the other option is when you record it into your camera, your camera will record, one speaker on the left side, one speaker on the right side, and then in post-production you can actually ramp up the volume, which is not the best way to do it, because ramping
and that's still in MP3 format as well, so you're kind of limited.
Yeah, well, it depends on the camera what's recording in. So it can be a WAV file, it can be, it could be a variety of different things. But so you don't have individual control of the volume of each one of those receivers. So look, it's a bit of a problem. So now they've also released this new firmware, which basically allows you to, instead of jumping up in the volume across the board in like 3 dB steps, it allows you to have smaller steps. So you
Yep.
can actually have 5 to 10 different step ups. Means very little to anyone out there listening. But what happens is, so for example, if I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, this guy's speaking too soft, I'm going to ramp up the volume a bit. When you press the dB up, so you know you can go
The decibels.
you can
Yep.
go up to 0 dB before it starts distorting.
Mm.
You crank up the volume on the actual on the receiver.
Yep.
But the meter that's actually showing you the signal from each one of the transmitters doesn't adjust. It doesn't go any higher.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
So basically, this is actually because of the new firmware upgrade. And I actually rang them up and spoke to them about it, and they said that they would look into it and try and make some adjustments. But so you're actually ramping up the volume, and you're looking at that display thinking it's going to go up because I'm putting the volume
Yeah,
up.
it doesn't.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
So the audio does actually increase, but it's only increasing to the output. So your camera will get more volume. So you need to basically adjust the volume on the actual Go system. And then once you've done that, you've got to go back to your camera and make sure that the levels are right on your camera.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can't rely on the levels that are coming through the actual...
Well, hopefully when this episode is actually online, they may be changed that already. But yeah, at the moment, we've both sort of realised that, didn't we?
Yeah. So that is a letdown. Look, it's something you can do in post production, and let's be realistic. It's a $300-400 system. It does an amazing job. Yeah, it's a little bit fiddly. It's a little bit clumsy. It's But if you're half decent with your post production, you can do it quite quickly. Make the changes. You can ramp everything up, and end of story. So that were my biggest issues. So the firmware changes did not match the information that was given to you, and the volume independent controls you don't have it. So
And saying that as well, I mean, the Road to Go, they've been around for a while now. They've actually released it more than 6 months ago.
Yep.
So you would think that they'll sort of put the things together and get it properly out there and make sure that's working.
They keep modifying it as they go along.
Yeah, which is great because obviously it's a unit that as soon as you change the make changes to your firmware, it obviously you can do huge things with it. So yeah, it definitely works.
Yeah, so look, it's basically the Go 2 is actually an amazing device. It's a recorder, it's a transmitter, it's small, it's lightweight, it's reasonably priced.
Yeah.
I bought one because I just thought to myself, it's definitely worthwhile.
Yep.
Okay, so the other one that we're going to talk about is the one that was actually recently sent to me by Hollyland, the Lark 150. Now, they're hammering the Australian market. Everywhere you look, there's an advertisement. And today's the first day you've actually seen that unit. I brought it in for you to play with. So I'll give you a bit of a rundown. The Hollyland Lark 150 sells for $400. So it's the same price as a Rode Go 2.
More or less, yeah.
The range is only 100 meters, and that's basically direct line of sight. So it's not, the range is not there. Okay.
Which is still reasonable. I mean, if you're filming someone next to you, you're doing interview, you're not going to be 100 meters away, right?
No, you're not.
Yeah.
The reality is 100 meters away, unless you've got a zoom lens on, you're not going to even see the person.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, look, it does have that downfall. It's only 100 meters. So distance is not as good, which means also potential for audio distortion, I guess, if you're,
line of sight.
The battery on it will only last for 4 hours. So as opposed to the Rode Go,
which is 7
hours,
Yep.
this will only last for 4. But in saying that, it has a little box that it comes in. So it all fits nicely into this little box.
Yep.
And the box charges the unit for
Do you know how long does it take for it to fully recharge?
I think from memory it was about 4 hours to fully recharge.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would have thought that would recharge you within half an hour to an hour maybe.
Sorry, are you referring to charging the box, or are you referring to charging the units inside the box?
And so if I'm on a shoot and I'm recording I'm doing a full day shoot, and obviously a full day is 8 hours at least, and halfway through the batteries obviously die. Can I just pop them into we're going for lunch, pop them into the recharger, and then off you go for another 4 hours?
I do believe the actual charging of the units themselves from the box is actually a lot less, but you're still looking at about 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Which the reality behind it is, if you're doing a full day shoot, these are not the items you want to use.
No, that's right. It's I think even with the Rode, the Rodes actually give you 7 hours, saying that if you're shooting a full 8 hours, you do have an option of plugging in USB-C cable to it with a power bank in someone's pocket, and Bob's your uncle. You keep going.
Yeah. So the Hollyland doesn't have that function.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, if you're planning on doing very long recordings, these are not the go-to item. So unfortunately, they are a bit of a letdown when it comes to the power department. But in saying that, if you're doing your average, blogs, video shoots, interviews, they're perfect.
Yeah.
Right? And, in between shoots, you chuck them back into the box. By the time you go into the next shoot, they're fully charged again.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a long shoot, you can't, oh, look, guys, we're just going to have to put these on charge for half an hour to an hour. Go have a sandwich, because the client's not going to want to pay an extra hour for absolutely no reason because you want to charge your unit.
Of course. Yeah.
So that is the downfall of it.
Yep.
Okay, so the box is rechargeable. It's like the
AirPods.
AirPods, is it?
Yeah, Apple AirPods. So basically,
I'm not a Mac person.
Yeah, you charge the box or the actual pouch or whatever you want to call it, and then the pouch got batteries, and you charge them up, and then that box charges the actual AirPods itself.
Which
so
is
the same thing applies here.
That is a novelty. I think that's really cool. So if you're going between shoots and having that there, it's fantastic. Now, one thing that this box allows you to do is charge all three items, so the two transmitters and the receiver at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The Road Go doesn't allow you to do that. You've only got like a USB-C plug.
Yeah, in all three of them, you've got a USB-C plugs, and then you just charge them.
You need to have three cables that run to adapter.
Which is kind of good and bad at the same time because, you kind of, like I said, if you run out of batteries, you can sort of plug them in and keep going and do whatever else. But it gets more messier, that's all.
It is. And it is tedious having that. So I charge one thing at a time, and I've got to, spend a couple of hours charging everything and going backwards and forwards. And it's actually really annoying.
Yeah.
So having it all in one box, huge benefit. It's fantastic. It charges everything. It's like you just plug it in and walk away, and in the morning it's ready to go, as opposed to you've got to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to change the unit over and start charging something else.
Yeah, of course.
Downfall of that box is, unfortunately, it hasn't got very much space in it. So once you put the two transmitters in there and the receiver, it's got a little sort of canal in there that you can drop in the cable, which will run from the receiver to the camera.
Yeah, the male to male 3.5.
Yeah, and that is all it's got in there. Now,
I've noticed that actually, because if you don't actually put that cable in properly,
it won't close.
It won't close, and it starts jamming up and doing whatever else. So
now,
it's a bit of a pain.
One thing that's actually really beneficial with these units is that they actually come with individual lapel microphones. So when you buy the unit for $400, it actually has two individual lapel microphones.
Not inside the box, though.
Not inside the box.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So it comes with a pouch. So the problem, of course, is now you suddenly got this box, but then you've got to carry all the cabling equipment and everything in a pouch.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So it's a little bit messy. They could have possibly have made a little bit more
room. Is that
room
because the battery inside the actual box is so huge?
Probably, yeah.
Well, it's actually quite heavy.
It is heavy, and that's another thing that should be added. I mean, the Road Goes are lightweight. They're paperweights. Yeah, this thing weighs, it's almost on par with a can of Coke.
Oh, yeah. It will look probably at least 250 grams. I don't actually.
So
I'm just guessing.
If you're really trying to save on the weight, leave the box open.
I can't even close the box now. Sorry, mate.
I'm just watching you trying to put it back. You're looking frustrated.
It's actually quite frustrating, actually, because unless I'm doing something wrong here, I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to have them plugged in or something like that.
No, you don't plug them in. It's like a closer.
No, you don't. Yeah. It's really strange because, I mean, it's much as I can see, it's a huge benefit having that box. But if you're in a hurry and you're sort of trying to close this and, on client sign, you want to pack up and take off and you don't want to see the client anymore, you're just like, I can't close this bloody box.
You don't want to see your clients ever.
Oh, my God. Seriously.
You're still struggling. I'm going to continue talking while you're fighting.
There you go. Got it.
Woo! All right. So finally, when you got that closed, so you've got it's got this really nice box, but it doesn't have room in there for everything that you need to carry. So the lapel microphones, you got to carry them in a separate bag. And
they've still got those ugly LED lights as well, the blue and green.
It has but they're different colors. The Rhodes have only got two blue colors.
Yeah.
This has got green and blue.
Still ugly.
It's actually the color is actually they're not two blues and two greens. They're actually a green and a blue, and a green and a slightly purpley blue.
Technicalities.
You don't notice it when you look at them, but the reason for that is because each one of those lights represents a different channel. So when you're looking at the LCD screen, it actually says the slightly blue purpley colored one, which is microphone 1 is the one that's giving you the signal. So you sort of distinguish them.
Right. Okay. So you know more or less, like even if you're looking visually at a person, that's you can see which. Okay.
Well,
okay,
that's the theory, but the problem is because there's such a minute difference in the color.
you can't tell the difference.
Unless you're like directly on top of it, you're not going to see it. So
Yeah. Okay.
nothing beats the sticky tape on the back saying Rode Mic 1 or the Lark Mic 1 or whatever you want to call it, having so exactly which one's which, and then sticking them onto the clients.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now the big selling point of these ones, personally, is simplicity of them. There's really not that much to them. The big selling point is the battery and the simplicity.
Yep.
So when you actually switch them on, it's got a really nice LCD display. All right, it shows you the battery life
on the receiver itself.
On the receiver itself,
Yep.
yeah. It's a beautiful little LCD screen. It's bright. You can see detail. The big selling point for me is it's got 2 physical knobs on there, which allow you, when you press them, to adjust the volume of each individual microphone separately.
Yeah, it's a big thing, isn't it?
So and it's the old analog style where you can actually literally turn the knob and it adjusts the volume, as opposed to the Rodes where you've got press these buttons and then hope for the best, and you can't actually see how much it's gone up. You got to look at your camera. So,
I must say the simplicity of it is really good, because as soon as you open up the box, everything just goes, "Hello, I'm here," and you pull one thing out, and then you pull out the actual microphone, and you go, "Hello." It starts working straight away. No, you don't have to press any buttons. You don't have to do anything.
You don't even turn them on. You just
no, that's right.
pull them out, they're on.
Yeah. It's impressive. And I mean, let me pull out the second one now, and
bang, it's connected up.
and the light blue and sort of green lights came on.
Can you see the difference in the blues?
Hang on, no.
They look identical.
Actually, yeah, you're right. No, there is. There's a lighter blue and a darker blue.
Yeah, but we're in a dark room, and you can actually see the difference, right? But if you're in a daylight room, good luck in seeing anything.
No, it's pretty good, man. I must say, simplicity component, you definitely, I think, put that nail in. It's just
usability. It wins hands down.
And then you got so you can actually you got a big LCD screen,
and you can see the volume.
When you turn your volume up and down, you can actually specifically see it, and it's so clear to see it, and it is pretty impressive, I must say. Yeah.
The receiver itself is actually probably about 1.5 times the size of the Rode Go 2. So it is slightly bigger. So people need to be aware of that.
Saying that, though, I mean, they're sitting on the camera anyway, so it doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a quality built product.
You can feel the quality.
You can feel it. It's if I had to compare it to something, I would say that the Lark 150 by Hollyland is like an iPhone. Its usability is great. It feels good. A lot of design concepts have gone into it. The Rode Go 2 is an Android. It's practical. It works, but it's not fancy.
Yeah, come on, man.
It's true. That's why I see it.
No. Well, that's the way I see it. But the way I see it, I mean, iPhone still works and it's still fine. But this one, the Lark, obviously, I've just noticed as well. I mean, it's got a line out, which is your line directly to your camera, and then you got a microphone, so you can monitor the audio directly into the Lark, and then if you say using a camera without
a headphone jack
or whatever else, you can still monitor everything through here.
That,
and
so it does
to still sort of give you that option on.
But the reality is, I mean, let's be honest. Most cameras nowadays have a headphone jack on them. Back 10 years ago, there was I
think the Sony that I've got 6400 actually doesn't, because it's such a small.
Because it's a Sony.
No. No, because it's a much a small unit. I don't think they had enough space to be able to put headphone jack in it. Don't know why. Don't ask me why. I don't like about it. But saying that, I mean, you can still plug it into here. So the way I monitor the audio on, if I do use my Sony 6400, A6400, I use my Atomos recorder, and I monitor the audio from that. I think. I'm just trying to remember where it is, but I'm pretty sure it does. It just doesn't have that. Anyway, we're sort of veering off.
But now Marty's trying to put it all back into the box. Let's see if he can close it.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, let's put the starter on.
But yeah, look, it does. It's a pretty impressive unit. As soon as I saw it, I was just like, it's so small. The actual the transmitters are much smaller than the Rode ones. Not by much, but they are much smaller. and as soon as you plug it in, as soon as you unplug it, it just works, and
It feels good as well.
it does.
It does.
It's impressive, yeah.
All right, so basically, in going back and covering everything that was discussed today, at the end of the day, I think there's two clear winners here when you're looking at basically an audio setup for your cameras. If you want to go lightweight and you want a decent quality audio system, I think personally for me, the Rode Go 2 is a go-to item, and the Lark by Hollyland 150 is also a go-to item. So 2 units that we've discussed today out of all the others that stand out for me for different reasons. I think they're both very different, and
they're both for prosumer market though, isn't it? Like for not for the low end stuff, but it's more for pro / professional / like if you're using it for a business or if you want to get a really good quality. And I mean, with the Rode stuff as well, you can get cables, and I don't know about the Lark stuff, but you can get cables so you can plug it into your iPhone or your Android or whatever.
Yeah, it comes with the cables actually. The Lark.
Oh, okay, there you go.
The Lark comes with basically everything.
Yeah,
it comes with the TRS cable, the TRRS cable.
It's really a unit pretty much border of that professional / like if you want to have something good, works perfectly, and just get it going, the Lark's probably really easy to use and really ready to go.
Would you go off and use it for production quality stuff and with a red camera or an ARRI camera and stuff?
Probably not.
No, you wouldn't. People would laugh at you. But as middle of the road,
I wouldn't say laugh, but yeah, it's probably the Rode and the Sennheisers are probably used for that component.
So like if you're running a DSLR, a lightweight system, a gimbal sort of thing, definite high quality products.
Yeah.
And look, I've got one. You've got one.
Yeah.
They work fantastic. They're fantastic for small productions. Definitely good. If you were to ask which is better out of the two for me, it's a hard one. What would you have a preference if you had to go for?
Look, I think the 4-hour battery on the Hollyland is a bit of a downfall.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, definitely Rode is probably the way to go. Saying that though, if you are new and getting something that you wanted to just jump in without sort of thinking too much with it, the Hollyland is probably the way to go as well because it's so much easier to use.
Yeah, just pop it open. It's on. It's already on. You don't even have to switch it on. It's just going.
It just works. And
as soon as you pull the
So look, for me, Rode probably be still the way to go because I've been doing it for a while, and I think like I said, I like to support locals. You know what I mean? So a local Australian company that makes good gear, Rode. You know what I mean? Hollyland, I'm guessing it's made somewhere in China or something. I don't even know where they're made, but if you're getting into it, I'll probably recommend Hollyland if you're just getting into it, learning all your ropes and everything else. If you are a bit more, hey, I've played around with it a bit more, I'll probably go for the Rode. I'm not sure about you. What are you thinking?
I'm really torn, to be honest. If you look, if it's a straightforward, production, you want to be able to tweak the levels a little bit. You want simplicity.
Yep.
The Lark 150 kicks ass, no doubt about it.
Definitely.
If you want to get more technical, you want to play around with the features. The Rode Go 2 is fantastic, especially if you're doing recordings.
A lot more tedious.
It is tedious, but it gives you backup features like the ongoing recording. And one of the things that we didn't actually mention is you've got a 7-hour recorder for each microphone built in. I've set mine to as soon as you switch them on, they start recording.
Yeah.
The question I had was, so what happens at the 7-hour mark? What does it just stop
it deletes?
recording?
No. So what happens is deletes.
It deletes it. Goes back to the start.
Saying that if you're recording for straight 7 hours.
Yeah, well, it's going to delete that whole file. So if you've done multiple shots, but 7 hours straight,
that's a lot.
That is a huge amount.
A huge amount. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want a recording feature, backup system, you don't mind tinkering a little bit, and you remember how to press buttons. I'm a bit thick when it comes to that. I'll switch it on 2 months later and go, what the hell is going on? The Rode Go is definitely a go-to, and if you want simplicity and you want to be able to tweak the volumes independently without post-production, the Lark.
Yeah.
You know, so luckily for me, I've got both, so I can choose whichever one I want.
I can borrow one of them.
You can, but you just got to learn how to close the damn lid.
Yeah, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. I must say, I still haven't closed it.
It's just sitting there.
The cable's just getting in the way.
Well, all right. Well, that's pretty much another episode. I think. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, man. I think we covered the road, sort of, the lapel stuff quite well, and like I said, it's one of those things where how confident you are and how you're going to use it. And sometimes you need 6 of them, or sometimes you need a couple of them. You know what I mean? But to me, look, I personally have most of the road gear. Like I said, I've got boom. I've got a couple of road goes. I've got the filmmaker, and I'm pretty confident that I'm pretty covered for most of the areas. If I'm shooting a 10 people panel, then I'm going to go see Evan and say, hey, Evan, can I borrow one of your road mics, or 10 of them? So, look, it's, look, I think the more time you spend in it, the more you start realizing what's better for what application you have. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty good.
It's a hard
Thanks. Thanks for bringing everything else as well, man. It's impressive.
You still haven't closed the lid on that.
No, I haven't. No.
You've had like 3 attempts.
I don't want to smash it. That's yours. You can do it. Here, you do it.
Yeah, thanks. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us for another episode. And we'll catch up with you again in another fortnight's time.
Yeah. We're hoping to obviously record and find some extra exciting things. If you do have anything that you want us to cover, by all means jump on and have a quick look and give us any suggestions. You can find us on Pixel Life on Instagram and Facebook, and Melbourne Images on Instagram, Facebook as well, and
Facebook, Pixel Life Studios with an S on the end. Yes,
but also Seeking Focus.
Seeking Focus, yes, we actually have a Facebook page as well for that.
Yeah, so you can send us a direct message or DM, baby.
We're actually getting a lot of followers on that, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's good. I'm sort of managing more of the Instagram component, and you're managing the Facebook component. So
I live on Facebook.
Yeah, and all the people. No, I'm joking. There's actually been a news recently that Instagram mentioned that they're stepping away from a sharing. They stopped being a photo sharing app, and they're becoming more of like a TikTok almost. They're following that sort of trend, which is kind of
scary.
Yeah, it is scary, and I'm not happy about it as well. And a lot of people or creators basically said they really didn't like that from a component. I mean, they're not supporting local creators as well. You know what I mean? So any creator for that matter. The creators obviously making money from Instagram by advertising, products or whatever else, but unlike YouTube, where if you have X amount of subscribers, YouTube actually gives you royalties or gives you money for that. So yeah, I'm hoping to cover that in the next episode as well, because I do have a local YouTuber that's quite successful. It's got almost 30,000 followers, and I'm hoping to sort of get him on the show as well. So yeah.
That sounds like an exciting episode.
Sorry, we probably went over time here.
We did. It was actually probably our longest episode to date.
No way. Yeah. I'm getting excited. All right, we better finish up. Thanks heaps, guys.
Take care. Bye.